they're struggling with, whatever's getting in their way. And I train on social media, sales, customer service, and leadership. For the most part, those are the heavy hitters. I do some strategic planning. Is considered to be a constant contact provider, I will say. It used to be called something else. So all that means is they give me these slide decks to play around with and use to provide information for all of you. And they have a special offer. I just got today in email, and I will offer it to you later at the end of this. So let's talk about, while people are still putting their questions in, thank you so much. We're going to be, in the big overview of things, talking about choosing the right social network, a 15-minute social media plan, if you can believe it, and then exploring. And what I mean by this is we're going to explore some of what is new, cropping up, what we think is going to be valuable in 2023, and just overall strategy ideas that tend to work really well for mainly small and mid-sized businesses. So choosing the right social network. There are people out there who will say, you need to be everywhere because your prospects are everywhere. And while that may be true, your prospects probably are everywhere. They're not necessarily going to hear your message everywhere. And being everywhere can be overwhelming. And what I find is if people try to show up everywhere, they end up burning out and showing up nowhere. So my viewpoint is this: determine where your audience is best going to, this is a terrible sentence, is going to hear your message, where they are in tune to listening for your message, and spend your time there. Because that's where you're going to have the biggest impact for your efforts. Just want to check one thing. Okay. Excellent. Thank you guys so much for adding these issues and questions and whatnot in there. The truth is, so let me say this. Sometimes people confuse marketing and selling. So I'm going to dispel that confusion and ask you to go along with me with certain definitions. Selling is an activity. Selling is something you do to gain customers. Marketing, while it's an activity, it's more of a passive engagement. Marketing is about creating awareness, exposure, credibility, being top of mind, because a lot of sales is about timing, being able to engage with your customers so that when someone has a need, you are there. You are top of mind. You're the one who's been offering valuable information. You've been engaging in these practices. And social media marketing is really the new word of mouth marketing. So before the internet, say 20 years ago, the whole concept with marketing was that you would market to this huge funnel. This may sound familiar, because you would want to whittle it down to those who were potentially interested in what you had to offer, so that then you could whittle it down a little bit more. And it was this numbers game. Social media pops up, and suddenly that has changed. And even more today than, say, 5 years ago, it has really adjusted itself. And social media marketing is really more about engaging with your current audience in order to continue to do business with them and receive word of mouth marketing through them. So you market on social media to your community, the community that you've built around your business. And through those engagements, their connections learn about you. And they, in turn, become curious. They trust the person who's already engaging with you, so that then when they have a need or want, whatever it is, you are there. You are already a trusted resource. And I'm telling you this because I think what we do is we operate from a position of, okay, I just need to be doing X, Y, and Z. And what I want to offer is, let's think about it differently. Let's think about, okay, how can I be adding value and providing value to the customers I already have, to the community I already network with, to the people and the companies who are already in my orbit? How can I be a value to them? It's my opinion that that's a much easier thing to do than try to, throw out these big billboard messages and hope that the people who you want to learn about you learn about you. All right. And so one of the questions was, with so many people out there and so many companies out there, can you really be noticed? And the answer is absolutely. When you are focused in the right place, right? You cannot be all things to all people. You cannot have messaging to grab anyone or everyone, because then no one will hear your message. So really the first thing is thinking about, who are you trying to reach? And where are they engaging online? We're just talking about social media now, right? Where are they engaging online where they will be open to your message? And I'm going to go through some of these, but I'm going to give you an example first. Everyone will tell you, or most everyone will tell you, that you have to be on Facebook. Now, I have a Facebook business page because I do this and I need to understand it. In order to be able to help people with social media marketing, I have to be able to understand, what is this all about? What's going on? But I sell to businesses. So are those owners and those leaders on Facebook? Yep, they probably are. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. The question becomes, are they in that mindset of owner, of leader, when they are on Facebook? And the answer is probably not. Some of them will be. Some of the very small, it depends on the industry that they're in. But once again, it depends on who your target audience is. So I can engage on Facebook, and I do, but do I really expect to get business from it or growth from it? No, I really don't. It's more of a, I'm there so I can learn it, and it's easy to do. My prospects and my referral sources are on LinkedIn because I sell to businesses. And it's the business people who are going to be in the mindset of being business people on LinkedIn. So they're going to be thinking about their connections. They're going to be thinking about their own business over there. They're not necessarily thinking about it on Facebook. On Facebook, they're consumers, they're moms, they're dads, they're sisters and brothers and cousins and daughters, and you know what I mean? I mean, they're people, they're humans over there. So if you sell to consumers, it can be the perfect place for you to be. The key is to engage with the audience you already have, instead of trying to become known to the entire universe. It's just because when these networks went public, their value became advertising dollars. So they need people to pay in order for their shareholders to receive value. Well, the little guys are never going to be able to pay as much as the big guys in order to make sure they're being seen. So you have to work a different algorithm, and that different algorithm is, how well are you engaging? How well are other people engaging with you? So that what the network identifies is, oh, this is someone who we want to keep giving space to. We want them to keep showing up because people seem to follow them. You know, it's that influencer thing. So hopefully that is, you know, an overview explanation of what I believe is really the best way to go about all of this. So if we look at them, we're going to go through three of them. All right. So Facebook, why? Large reach. Yeah. Variety. Absolutely. But like I said, it really depends on who you sell to in the industry that you're in. And then the question becomes, so what do you post? You're going to see this is going to be true on pretty much all the platforms, but videos, photos, links, and event information. There are some challenges to that. One challenge is when you put event information on Facebook, would love it if you would create an event on Facebook. The problem with it is that if you need people to register for your event through your registration, they're not going to do it. They're going to think they're registering when they say, okay, on Facebook. I'm in an association right now who has a huge problem with that. We had to stop creating events on Facebook because people would register there, but they wouldn't go to our website and register with us. So we had no idea who was showing up. Well, post-COVID, you know, maybe before COVID, it was okay. You just can't do it anymore. So you have to be careful about how you engage. And you're going to hear me use the word engage and the word engagement a lot. And I'm going to define it for you right now. What I mean when I'm saying that is this. You want to be creating content that encourages the reader, the watcher, the listener, whatever it is, to respond, to comment, to share. Them just liking it will do nothing for you in the whole realm of creating awareness and exposure. If you can engage with your audience and you can get them to answer your question, read whatever's at your link, and then answer, you know, tell you what they think, you get a lot more traction, especially on Facebook. Because Facebook looks at that and says, okay, people like to engage with this person. Let's get them in front of more people, because that's all in Facebook's best interest. Turns out it's in your best interest too. But what we do, because we're short on time, is we just throw out links and hope people click on them. Well, if you think about it from Facebook, Twitter, well, not so much Twitter, LinkedIn's point of view, they don't want you clicking on those links because that means you're leaving their platform. And they want you to stay on their platform because you'll go down that rabbit hole and never come out. So this is just, you know, be aware of what you're doing. And when we talk about this 15-minute plan later, you'll get an idea of, you know, how you can set this up so it's not consuming all of your time. So I'm going to hang on to the questions. These are great questions. Thank you. And I'll jump into them probably before we go into the next section. So now we have, which one is this? See, I have my screen totally screwed up. Twitter. Twitter's an interesting animal. It really is for information sharing. So you have to think about who's there and why they're there. Twitter has become a real haven for politics. So there's a lot of political sharing and conversation going on, a lot of threads. It really is a place where it is encouraged for you to share links to other content. So where people will leave Twitter to go watch something, read something, whatever it is, and then they will come back. So once again, it really depends on who your audience is. There's also age gaps with these platforms. So Facebook is pretty much, I'm going to say middle age. It runs a pretty big gamut because it's moms and dads for the most part. The kids left when the mom and dads got there, and the kids went to Twitter. And so a lot of young adults use Twitter to get all of their information, either Twitter or Instagram. Now TikTok, which we'll talk about. So once again, you have to think about, okay, why are they there? What information are they consuming? And would they even consume my information on that platform? And then we have Instagram. Now, Instagram has blown up and it will continue to blow up. It does have some challenges. You can't put a link in a post that is clickable. So it's got to be in your profile. So there are some weird. Now, one of the benefits is that you can post something to both Facebook and Instagram together because they're both owned by Meta. So that can be a time saver. And one of the benefits is that they're mobile. They're really a mobile platform. So people have their phone with them all the time and not necessarily their computer. So you can have access to people constantly. Now, the other platforms have apps as well. And Instagram really is about photos and videos. So, and we'll talk later about videos because videos are really a big deal. Once again, a younger crowd. And, you have to think about who's there and what are they searching? What are they looking at? What do they care about? I mean, I can tell you I'm on Instagram as my company, but I go there because my niece posts videos and pictures of her children. And that's what I'm interested in. So that's like, I'm not paying attention to any businesses that are on Instagram. Now I'm in an older demographic. So this is why you have to really know your audience. There are some audiences that aren't on social media at all. So do you need to be there? Yeah, because their referral sources are probably on social media. So like if you do work with senior citizens, okay, a lot of them, it's going to get better as we move on. But a lot of, the over 80 crowd, they're not on social media, but their children are. And their children can influence the decisions that they make. Sometimes their children are the ones who are making the decisions for them. Okay. So hopefully that sheds some light on that. LinkedIn, is it the professional? It's where all the professionals are. It is not Facebook. It is not to be used for personal things, though you can pepper personal in with the professional. It would be like if you were at a business meeting, there's things that you might say about, your personal life and things that you wouldn't say. That's the gauge. This is really a place where engagement really matters. Video is huge here, and you can post articles, blogs, whatever you want to call them, directly on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn will help you spread the word about them because LinkedIn wants people to stay on LinkedIn. So the other thing about LinkedIn is if you are selling to businesses, the more time you spend on LinkedIn and the more people you connect with who you actually know, the easier it is for you to do prospecting research. So you're sharing content and your own content, other people's content, commenting, follow the people who are in your community, read what they have to say, comment on it, LinkedIn is a place for lengthier comments because one of the things that LinkedIn's paying attention to is if people click the read more to see what else you have to say. So it's really understanding the platforms and how they are gauging who they should be putting in front of people. But when you're engaging with people who you're already connected to, LinkedIn is a great example of you are now in front of their connections and in their world. And the people who they're connected to now learn about you and will start following you and engaging with you. And that is how you build a bigger community around your business. Okay, before we do this slide, I want to make sure I'm going through these questions. So I'm going to back up here for a second. And B2B social media, what one thing would you recommend we do right away? Okay, Emily, that's a great question. And oh gosh, I'm going to give you three. Because the first one is figure out one place you should be spending your time. So I'm never going to tell you to spend your time everywhere. I'm going to say, figure out where your current community is, pick that platform, and decide that's where you're going to spend your time. So that's number one. Number two is decide what you want to share with them as far as information and knowledge goes. Social media is not for selling. People hate it when you sell on social media. So don't do it because they will just shut you down. I mean, the people who you're already connected to, that, they'll unfriend you and disconnect from you and all of those things. So decide where your expertise is, where your knowledge base is, figure out who you already follow, what information you're already receiving, like if you get newsletters, whatever it is, and determine how you want to share that information. You can do short videos. Well, 10 minutes is what LinkedIn would prefer, 10 minutes or longer. You can do them and then upload them to your update feed. And I'll give you those two. The third would be then to start creating the content, because this really is about social media marketing, really is about, I said it before, awareness and credibility and exposure. The more you are sharing valuable information for your community, the more they will pay attention to you and the more they will trust you. So that then when they need what you have to sell, they will reach out to you because you're the one who was giving of information. But if you are out there trying to sell all the time, they won't listen to a word you say. They care about knowing that you care about them, not that you are just trying to, get them to part with their money. Hopefully that helped. Posting 2 to 3 times per day is daunting, given everything else that needs to be done. Looking for practical steps to get started and consistently post to generate a presence. Okay, that is another great point, Kevin. So I said a minute ago, figure out what it is you want to talk about. So I'm going to ask you guys to do something real quick. Take a moment and think about 3 to 5 topics within your industry that you know well and jot them down. Just, the bullet points. So it could be fashion, it could be jewelry, it could be sales, it could be equipment failures, it could be, who knows? You know your industry. So just jot down 3 to 5. Now, within that 3 to 5, there's the possibility that there will be like subcategories. So for example, one of mine 3 is sales. But within sales, there's networking, prospecting, discovery questions, follow-up, those are 4 subcategories right there. The reason I'm asking you to do this is so that you can carry that list around with you and you can carve out a couple of minutes, a day or whatever, and say, okay, I can share something about this. I could do a top 10 or did you know, or questions to ask if you're thinking about hiring a fill in the blank. Once again, it depends on your industry. I'm also going to tell you that I don't believe that you should start out posting 2 to 3 times a day, because I agree it's daunting and you will stop. What I'm going to say to you is decide you're going to post once a week and get yourself into a habit. This is like exercising. Get into a rhythm and then you can add to it, but you don't want to start out great guns and then have to pull back from it because it's too much. The other thing I will say about this is find a scheduling platform that you like. So for example, there's Hootsuite. I'll write these in the chat. There's Buffer. I like Buffer a lot. These used to have free accounts, but now I think it might be like $5 a month or something. So it's not crazy expensive, but the value of them, especially like Buffer, is that you can say, okay, I'm going to post to LinkedIn or I'm going to post to Facebook. You could sit down on a Sunday, just to pick a day, for 20 minutes or half an hour, and you could create 3 short posts. You go through your email or go through whatever it is that you follow, find something of interest, and decide you want to share it. And then you can go into Buffer or Hootsuite and you can pre-schedule it. So say it's Sunday, you could schedule for a post to go out on Tuesday, then a post to go out the following week on Wednesday, that kind of thing. So you're doing it once a month, but you're done, right? It's 30 minutes, you're done, and your content is going out. That isn't to say that you can that's all you have to do. You do have to carve out, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes a day or every other day to go onto whichever platform it is and scroll through your feed to see what the people you're connected to are talking about and to engage with them. Because this is human to human. The reason you're doing it is to build those relationships, trust, those sorts of things. And the only way it's going to happen is if you are engaging with people. But it doesn't have to consume your time. For me, it has to be scheduled. See, I like structure. So I think if you create a system, you create a process, you can have things come to you. So you can set up Google alerts for topics that you're interested in, and you can have them come to you. On LinkedIn, you can decide people or categories that you want to follow, and LinkedIn will send you and they'll email you. Like I get emails when, I think it's science. I get all sorts of tweets from science. I love them. And science isn't my thing. It's just something I'm interested in. I'm fascinated by it. So, I do. But I get an email every time Bill Gates posts something on LinkedIn because apparently I follow him or I follow whatever category he's in. I just, that one is pretty top of mind for me. So then I can go read it. And if it's something that I think is valuable in my audience, I can share it and I can do it right then in real time because there's all those little share links attached to everything. So I would say you gotta create a system for yourself and then just work your system. Put it on your calendar, find that white space on your calendar, make it a thing, an appointment, and just start doing it. Because once again, it's like exercise. When you start doing it, then you get into the habit and it gets easier as you go. And then you can add if you want to. Let's say, Marketing communication. Oh, okay. What happens when you are still working and trying to launch a business, but many of your followers are coworkers and leaders where you work? That is a very good question. If they don't know that you are trying to build your business, I'm going to advise that you be very careful with what you do, because you don't want to have more than one profile on a platform. It confuses people. It dilutes your community. So if people don't know that you're doing it, you potentially want to pick a platform where your audience would be, but you are not going to connect with your coworkers. So some platforms, you get to decide whether people can follow you or not. You might need it to be private for a while. It's tricky. I'm not going to lie to you. It's that can be a really tricky sort of thing. What you can do is, you could say, I've got this hobby that I'm playing around with. So you're probably going to see posts from me on it, about it. On LinkedIn, people can either connect with you or they can follow you. If they follow you, they can then ask to connect to you. A lot of people don't realize it, but they can. So you could pick. So you could say, I'm just going to have people connect with me, because then you can decide who, in what world you're going to have people do that. There's probably a bigger answer to that, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. If you want to, you'll see at the end of this that you can reach out to me for a 30-minute phone consult. No obligation to it. We can talk specifically about whatever your situation is. Maybe I can give you better input on that. Should you share a craft business photos with others' videos and see what people think? Is that a good approach? Boy, Kathy, you know what? That can be a really good approach. And if that's what your business is, you probably want to be on Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok, because that's where people are. Especially Pinterest. That's where people are looking at those sorts of things. So hopefully that answered your question. So this is an interesting thing about, how do you get people to, you're more than welcome, to follow you. Following people can be a really good way to get people to follow you back. When we talk about related hashtags here, so one of the really valuable things about social media marketing is that you can identify who's talking about what in your space. So if I use MySpace, for example, and I say, okay, I want to know who's talking about sales, because I want to hear what they're saying. And I might want to engage in a conversation with them. I might want to share their information, and I might want them to become aware of me, depending on who they are. So I would search hashtags related to sales, hashtag selling, hashtag sales, hashtag B2B, a variety. And I would probably do my searching on LinkedIn, because that's where I want to be engaging with those people. And what happens is, when people use hashtags and then you go searching them, you then find out who's talking in that space. And more importantly, what they're talking about. So there's a lot of people in the sales space, and a lot of them I agree with, and a lot of them I don't. And so I don't want to just follow anybody in the sales space. I want to know what they're talking about. And I'm not going to just share anything about anybody, right? So it does take a little bit of work, but you can do this. And a lot of times following them will get them to become aware of you and then follow you. And then when they share your information, you are now in front of their community. So it's all about, are there ways that you can get in front of other communities other than your own? There are. I will say, especially for starters, focus on your own community and focus on providing value to your own community. And sometimes you can ask your community if there's anything that they would like to know. You don't have to be all knowing. Ask them, right? When I was writing my last book, I went on LinkedIn and I said, so I'm writing a book on sales and I want to know, what do you want to know? And people responded and gave me information, which then I could incorporate into the book. So, that can be really a very valuable way to do things. Ask your email list. This is there are certain ideas that people believe work. This works for some people, doesn't work for others, but I'm going to tell you what this really means. What it means is, if you are doing email marketing, not email prospecting, but email marketing, you can, have a statement in there, have something in there that says, if you know someone who you think this would be valuable to, please share, please forward, please share with them, please whatever, and make it easy for them to do. Make it linkable, however, whatever the options are in the program that you use, because it's that word of mouth marketing. It's that people do things that the people they trust are doing. So don't be afraid to do something like that. It really is about asking the question in a way that is comfortable for you and comfortable for the people who are reading it. Okay. Ask in person, when you're networking or you're at events or, whatever it is you're doing, you can, and you meet someone who, you resonate with, ask them if you can connect with them on whichever profile is the one that you are focusing on. And, you're asking permission. You can say to them, it's okay, you're not going to hurt my feelings if your answer is no. Because some people are going to say, I'm only connected to family and very close friends on Facebook. It's the only reason I'm there. I'm barely there. I just don't connect with anyone else there. Okay, great. Now you know. But there's going to be other people who are going to say, yeah, sure, absolutely. Happy to. Love to see what you've got going on. Okay, now let's talk about that 15-minute social media plan. We'll go through this very quickly. So, we have these goals: awareness, customer service, getting people to take action. And you really can break it down. So for those of us who are feeling overwhelmed, let's try and unoverwhelm us. Repurposing content is the key to everything. And here's what I mean by that. If you haven't heard of this before, this is the gold. Write a blog post, put it on your website, or put it on LinkedIn in the write an article section of LinkedIn. And then you can use parts of it. You can grab a paragraph and put it, let's say Facebook is your platform, put that on Facebook with a read more link. You can do the same thing on LinkedIn. You can do the same thing in your email marketing. You can do the same thing on Twitter. You could take it and create a video around it, a short video. You can break it up into smaller, bite-size posts. So create it once, break it up, and you could use it all over the place. Okay? Tremendously valuable. Oh, and here we go. Now, I was going to say something else about that. Shoot. Well, maybe it'll come back to me. I apologize for that. Repurpose your content. Oh, I know what it was. You can share the same content, different days, different times over like a 3-month period. because, if you shared it today and then you put it in the queue to go out again 3 weeks from now on Thursday morning, different people are going to see it. So not only can you repurpose the content, but you can reshare the content on your platforms, different days, different times, different people, different views. Okay. Now, finding content, we call this curating content, where you have, content come to you. Remember that you know your industry better than your community, better than your customers, better than your prospects, better than anybody. And finding industry news or information can help provide you with content that then you don't have to create on your own. You're just going to comment on it. So these are just some ideas. You can do a Twitter search. You can use something called feedly.com, where you put topics in, it just feeds you, just brings you like articles and things. And then you get to decide which ones you are interested in or not. Okay. All right, let's do a little exploring as we are coming into it. So I mentioned TikTok. TikTok is the latest and greatest, and who understands it anyway? I don't know. It has a very specific marketplace. I do know professionals who sell business to business who are using TikTok to appeal to a younger audience. So, as a matter of fact, I know an accountant who's doing it, which is a weird thing, but she creates, short little videos. That's what TikTok's all about. And she just posts them like one a week, one every other week. She's building an audience. So there is an argument for it. Once again, I'm going to remind you, make sure you know who your audience is, and are they there? And are they there receiving information like this in that arena? So it may or may not be something worth doing. I can tell you, I have a podcast and I've interviewed people who've said TikTok's a great thing to do for people like me, and I won't touch it because it's just one more thing that I have to try and figure out. Okay. So no, I'm gonna stay where I know it works and that I can actually do. Reels are another somewhat new thing. They're on Instagram, Facebook, pretty soon I'm sure they'll be everywhere else. It's just videos. It's just short videos that are focused on particular content. And you can create a series of them. So if you had, so my brother is a woodworker in his spare time, and he will create reels of him working on something where he explains the decisions that he's making. Just lets people into his world. So, depending on your industry and your audience, you could be doing that too. Smaller networks, I said this at the beginning, but I wanted to make sure I repeated it. Focus on the network you have. Focus on the community you have. Take care of them. Provide them with valuable information. Answer their questions. Solicit their questions. And your community will grow from there, because their communities will find you through them. And I mentioned video a couple of times. Video is hugely valuable. It's going to stay valuable. And if you are thinking to yourself that you don't want to be in front of a camera, you don't have to be in front of the camera, but you can still do a video. So, these days you can create videos out of almost anything. And you could be doing how-tos. You could be doing favorite things, favorite finds, whatever it is, get creative with it. One thing I will tell you about video is more people listen to video than watch video. So once again, if you're concerned about, and you're probably doing it now, if you are concerned about you being in front of the screen, I'm going to offer that you let that go, because people probably aren't watching it anyway. They're listening to it. Okay. When you are thinking about content, this is something that I didn't put in here and I should have, but when you are thinking about creating content, if you are struggling, I'm going to give you 2 suggestions. The first one is make sure that the recorder, that you have a voice recorder on your phone, on your cell phone. And when you are driving any distance longer than 20 minutes, get ready to record something that then you can transcribe to yourself later, or you can use a program to transcribe. Because it's wide open space, you're going to pay attention to the road, but a lot of times this is where thoughts can come, and you can do some great creating. And the other one is the shower. Because when we're in the shower, like our brain opens up, or we lay down at night to go to bed, like our brain opens up and all of a sudden all these thoughts come flowing in. You can get a scuba diver's board. It's just a plastic board with a rubber tube holding a pencil, so that when you're in the shower and these ideas come to you, write them down. Because I can tell you, I used to have great ideas in the shower, and then I would get out and they would be gone forever. So I got a couple scuba divers boards and I would just stop and write on them, and then I could let it go because I knew I had it and I could recreate it elsewhere. So those are just some handy little tips from someone who's been doing this for a while and has learned a couple of interesting things to do. So we can do more Q&A, but I also want to thank you all very much for spending this time with me and let you know 2 things. The first one is something I said before. If you want to chat, go to talkwithdiane.com, schedule some time with me. It's 30 minutes. There's no obligation to it. I'll answer whatever questions you have to the best of my ability. The other one is this. If you have thought about email marketing, but you're not doing it yet, Constant Contact is offering 40% off the first 3 months of the Constant Contact Plus program. The link is this tinyurl.com/HECC link. And then you just use the code SURPRISE22 and you'll get that discount at checkout. So that is what I had to share there. Any questions? I know we've got, a couple minutes for any other questions you might have.
Diane, we do have a question in the Q&A. With all the thousands of websites and people on social media, is it really possible to be noticed?
Yes, I think it is. I think it takes, how do I want to say this? An intentional strategy and effort. And it's part of the reason why I say smaller networks are the place to start. Because it's much easier to engage with your universe than to try to engage with the galaxy, right? So let's not overthink this thing. Let's not try and overdo this thing, because it's probably not going to work. Stay local, stay in your community, so to speak, and focus there and engage with them there. And you will find that you will start, hearing from people you have no idea who they are or where they're coming from.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? We have a few minutes left.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
That was me. I answered every question you could possibly have.
Yes. Well, everyone, again, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you again virtually. Everyone, enjoy your evening. Stay warm and take care. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.